Hello, everyone. So it's just after 12. We're gonna let everyone filter in. I do want to keep it short because I know a lot of you, this is like your lunch hour. I don't want to take up your entire lunch hour. But I'm so grateful that you are prioritizing this and taking the time to have lunch with me. I don't know what all of you got for lunch. I do have my lunch. I said I would eat lunch with you. So this is a butternut squash risotto. I don't know if you can see it. I made this for a class, and so I'm having it for lunch, and that class will be up on the university soon. I'm hoping that it uploads. I don't know if any of you are techie. I have trouble with the uploading process. It seems to just take forever. I don't know. It's probably what I'm using, but it's a long process. So the filming isn't the issue. The editing isn't an issue. The getting it up onto the university isn't an issue. It's the uploading the actual video that takes a long time. So any of you are good in that area, I would love some advice. All right. Oh, got a few more. Welcome. It's so good to see everyone. Put in the chat, what's your lunch today? I want to know what you're eating. If you don't want to share, you don't have to, but I would love to know, make us feel a little bit more connected. Like I was telling people, I've got my butternut squash risotto that I made for a class. I made it in an Instapot. So if you have an Instapot, you're definitely going to want to learn how to do this and cook alongside me. Okay, so let's get started. A couple more. Okay, let's get started so that I don't take up your whole lunch hour. I appreciate you all being here. Just to make sure that you're in the right spot and it's what you thought you were signed up for. This is a Lunch and Learn webinar where we're going to talk about feeding your happy, healthy heart. So what you can do to have a healthy heart. Since this is February, happy February, everyone, by the way. Can you believe it? It's February already. This is my least favorite month of the year. So I'm trying to stay positive. I woke up really fantasizing about my garden and being out in the sunshine. I miss it so much. All right, welcome. I am feeling quite honored that so many of you have decided to spend your lunch with me. That really does feel like an honor. I appreciate it. It's been a long time since I've had lunch with people. And please feel free to eat. If you could put in your chat if you have any specific hopes for this webinar, things that you were interested in hoping to learn. So this is a picture of me and a couple of our high school leaders in From the Ground Up from a few years back. They are now alumni off in college. I think they might be actually in their senior year of college. Crazy. So my name is Annalicia Cruz. Most people know me as Alicia. And I graduated with a degree in nutrition. And from there, I thought that my path was to be in private practice. So I opened a private practice in a medical facility. I shared the office with a naturopath. And I saw patients every 20 minutes, 4 days a week. It was a lot. It was a lot. I saw a lot of people. And on the 5th day each week, I spent at the Greater Hartford YMCA building a nutrition program for them. And I soon became so much more attracted to the work with the YMCA. I was fostering relationships that enabled me to empower people to make lasting changes. You can't do that in a 15 to 20 minute appointment in a medical facility. It's just, there's too much, it's too fast. And due to our current healthcare system, unfortunately, that's just the way that we had to set up in order to accept insurance and to be able to cover the cost, honestly, for all different things with being associated with a medical facility. So I really became attracted to that nonprofit world and the building relationships and making sure that everyone had access to this information. And so I started cutting back on my medical practice hours and started investing more time with the why. And that led to, through a series of programs that made me realize that the YMCA, I love it, but it serves a different mission and purpose than what I was looking for. And so that's when I started my own nonprofit, Nourish My Soul, which is what brings us together today. And through that, I've helped hundreds of individuals and families meet their achievable health goals. So, and this is just one of the many ways that I do it, trying to make it accessible to everybody. So why heart health? Well, every 36 seconds. So let's look at what 36 seconds look like. Hold on, let me set a timer. All right, 36 seconds beginning now. It feel like a really long time, but it's really not. You're all going to be happy with what we're going to cover, reading through what you're putting in the chats. Okay, we are almost at 36 seconds. Right, so in that time frame that we just had at 36 seconds, time is up. One more person in the United States dies due to cardiovascular disease every 36 seconds. That is wild, especially because many of the risks, all the risk factors, many of them you'll see are within our control. There are things that we can do to mitigate those risk factors. Yes, there are some that are completely out of our control, just like any predisposition to different diseases, right? Like you've got genetics, you've got gender, previous heart attack or stroke, so a history, a medical history, ethnicity, and age. So those are things that we can't control. What we can control is smoking. So if you are a smoker, quitting that is always tops. That's going to reduce your risk factor for so many things. Getting help doing that, that should be your top priority. You're going to feel so much better. And the sooner you do it, the more years you're going to add to your life. Inactivity, so just getting moving, we're going to talk about that, like how much, what you need, and high blood pressure, so reducing your blood pressure, and diabetes. So while type 1 diabetes, that is a genetic risk factor, type 2 diabetes is a manageable risk factor. And also if you have type 1 diabetes, managing your diabetes well, having a good management plan is also important and something within your control. And you'll notice that a lot of these have to do with dietary, right? So maybe not smoking. Inactivity can be linked to your diet as well, because, well, we'll talk about that, but what you eat determines your energy levels. Okay, so what 4 things can you focus on today? That's the whole purpose of us coming together, right? So you don't want to hear about all of the risk factors and all the facts and statistics. And I don't know, like, that's not how we want to spend our time together. How we do want to spend our time together is like actual action steps, the reasons why those action steps are important, and then how to implement them. Okay. That is my goal for this half hour, which we only have 15 minutes left of. And I do want to leave some time at the end for questions. So, and again, that doesn't have to be just at the end. It could be anytime throughout this. So right now, at the table, so these are the things that you can focus on. At the table, stabilizing your blood sugar and including the key nutrients that your body needs in your diet. Okay, that is one thing that you can control and you can focus on. In your sneakers, so making sure that you are getting consistent daily, non-punishing exercises. So this is key. A lot of us jump into it thinking that of exercise as punishment to our body, especially if we're equating it diet and exercise. If you are wrapped up in diet culture, which if you haven't watched my January webinar series, I encourage you to go back and do that because it focuses all on this topic of diet culture. And exercise should not be seen as punishment. It should be enjoyable. It should be something that you look forward to. It should be a part of your day that is celebrated and that you want to do, that you carve out the time because it's that important to you, because it makes you feel so good and you enjoy doing it. Don't waste your time doing things that feel like punishment. That's not what this is about. Simple things, get your body moving the way that it's meant to be moving, and not in a harmful way. That's going to just lead to injury. It's going to lead to burnout. It's not going to be a sustainable thing that you're going to be able to continue doing long term. And that's what we need. We need long-term, consistent, sustainable habits, okay? In bed. So don't let your minds go there. I'm talking about sleep. Other things might be important too, but that's not the focus of our webinar today. PG. Okay, and in your mind, so improving your mindset, okay? These are all things that are absolutely key in heart health. So in terms of the exercise that I touched on, it doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be punishing. It doesn't need to be complicated. Simple, 20 minutes of walking. It can be a leisurely pace. It doesn't have to be at any, crazy fast pace either. So this accomplishes a couple of things. One, exercising, getting 20 minutes of walking in every day. It's going to boost your cardiovascular efficiency, right? So your heart has to pump to get you moving instead of sitting and being sedentary. So that's one benefit. It gets more oxygen into your blood. It also, if you do it outside, so this is really important to try to do this outside as often as possible, even if the weather isn't great, because there are chemical reactions that actually happen to us when we are outdoors and in nature in particular. It triggers these feel-good hormones. It lowers our cortisol levels, which are all cortisol levels, if they're consistently high, are going to lead to heart disease. So reducing that in any way possible is always important. So 20 minutes of just a walk outside. If you have access to walk through trails in the woods, that's even better. You're going to boost that effect. And these increase your serotonin levels. They make you feel good. And this also has a spillover effect into your diet. So when you have these feel-good moments after exercise, not a punishing exercise, because a punishing exercise actually triggers a different response in you, but just a walk, that 20-minute walk is going to trigger it's going to spill over into your dietary choices. So you're going to make better choices because you're going to be in a better frame of mind. Those serotonin levels and those dopamine levels are going to be up. So you're going to feel better, and it's going to be easier to make those healthy choices. You're not going to be craving those poor food choices. Sleep. Oh, wait, I got some questions about the exercise. Yeah, so if you enjoy it, so I run. So the question is, does running give you the same effect? If it is enjoyable to you, okay, that you shouldn't do things that don't feel good, okay? If it is hard on your body, or you're really struggling, not to say that working through struggle isn't a good thing, but If it feels like you're punishing yourself, it's not going to be the option that you sustain for a long period of time. I am a runner, so I do run, and I do look forward to that. I build my life, actually, like my days around when am I going to get my run in today? Okay, so that, because I enjoy it, it becomes a sustainable piece. If I felt like punishment, so like for me, um, lifting weights is not an enjoyable experience to me at all. So I understand the importance of it, and I do build it in a couple times a week, but it's hard for me, and it's definitely not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable before, during, or after. And um, so if I didn't have the commitment to it, like that's definitely going to be the first thing that goes. If I'm having an off week, if I'm having a really busy week, that is the first thing that gets taken off the table because I don't want to do it. Right. So if that's why I say it's important that it's something that you enjoy. Okay. So that could be playing a sport, right? Maybe you join a local soccer league or something and you play a game of soccer. Maybe that's something that you enjoy. Going for a walk with a friend, like whatever you can do, playing a game of tennis. Okay. Does that answer your question? Perfect. Yeah. Lots of thumbs up. Okay. Give yourself permission to enjoy your life. Don't make it all about being punished for things. Okay. Sleep is key. I know a lot of people struggle with this. It's hard. Between stress and anxiety, especially now, and our phones, our addiction to devices, feeling like you always have to be on and available to people, really interrupts sleep. And if you are a mother of or a parent of young children, or have a career that requires you to work, I work with a lot of nurses that have to do some overnights, and like they have crazy schedules, and that can really disrupt sleep patterns. And so that, I understand the struggles, and that can be a lot more difficult to manage, but doing the best that you can to manage your stress, and to get that 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. Some things that you can do, if possible, if your work schedule allows it, keep consistent times that you are sleeping. It's really important to your health, and for your body to have a circadian rhythm. Okay, so circadian rhythms are our sleep cycles. It's when our body outputs different hormones that control our sleep and wake cycles. Okay, and if we're always changing that, then our body's confused, and of course it's going to be more difficult to sleep. Of course it is, right? Our body doesn't understand, and it doesn't just switch like that. It needs to have a rhythm to it. So avoid staying up later on the weekends and sleeping in. Try and keep your sleep as consistent as possible, and creating a nighttime routine, just like you would for your children, to help signal to your body that it's time to wind down. Okay, so whatever works for you, if it's a hot bath or hot shower, some tea, some like sleepy time tea, chamomile tea, dimming the lights after a certain time. Maybe you have candles, or you just keep the lights dimmer. You don't have it like glaringly bright. Reading, meditating, those are all things that help promote sleep and get you ready, get your body ready for sleep. Something that you do want to consider, I know a lot of people like to have, a glass of wine at night. Drinking alcohol actually impedes sleep. It disrupts the sleep cycles. So if you are struggling with sleep, I would do two things. I would avoid caffeine after noon. So like after right now, like don't have caffeine for the rest of the afternoon if possible. And then avoid alcohol in the evenings. Just until you can regulate your sleep patterns, and then you can maybe experiment with adding some of the things back in if you would like to, but you may find that those things were kind of the troublesome pieces that were preventing you from sleeping. And time goes fast. All right, I'm going to try and get through this so we can get to the nutrition piece of it. Turning off devices. So an hour before you go to bed, if you could, read instead of watch TV, log off your laptop, keep your phone in a different room than your bedroom so that you're not on it before you go to sleep. So the light that those emit actually interrupt our sleep. That circadian rhythm that I was talking about, that light coming in our eyes actually interrupts that, creates more difficulties in falling asleep. Also back to sleep, like try not to have difficult conversations or confrontations before bed so that you're not having that stress amping you up as well. Okay, so mindfulness. Why do I have this in heart health? Well, it reduces stress. So that cortisol that I was talking about really does a number on your cardiovascular system. So cortisol is great for an emergency, like when your body is faced with an event that it needs to escape or it needs to help in your aid in your survival. Cortisol is wonderful. It will save your life. The problem is that our culture subjects us to this low to medium levels of cortisol outputs 24/7 all the time. And so we need to work on ways to reduce that. And mindfulness is a wonderful tool in doing that. So some tools that you can add to your toolbox for mindfulness are practicing daily meditation. I do this every day. I try to do it twice a day, in the morning and at night. It doesn't always happen. It always happens at night. Can't always start my day with it, unfortunately. But the days that I do, I have a much better day. Journaling. So if you are one that likes to write things down to get them out of your system, it can be extremely helpful to journal. Some people do it like they combine the gratitude and the journal together. So they have a gratitude journal where they're writing down their gratitude. A creative practice. So this can be anything that makes you feel like you are expressing yourself. It can be your traditional painting, drawing, whatnot. For me, my creative practice is sewing. I love sewing and it transports me. It's a form of expression for me. I really enjoy it. I love a lot of different creative practices, but that one's my favorite. Yoga is an awesome one. It's, you get your gentle movement in there. So you are getting movement and you are also getting mindfulness. You're really connecting with your body and the present moment. So that can be one tool for you to combine that exercise component along with the mindfulness. And therapy. So I am a strong advocate that everyone should have a therapist, just like you have a medical doctor. Your mental health is extremely important to your physical health and vice versa. So if it makes sense to you and you think that everyone should have a medical doctor, I am telling you, everyone should have a therapist as well. You need to take care of your mental health just as you do your physical health. Okay, at the table. So now we're getting into my favorite part. We have so much control over this. It's crazy. And you can make such an enormous difference in your health with just a few simple things. So how diet influences your heart health, impact of a high glycemic diet. So the high glycemic diet actually raises your HDL, your not so good cholesterol levels, which leads to heart disease. We've all heard that, you've got to lower my cholesterol. Well, the number that you want to lower is your HDL. Okay. And you do that, a lot of people are under the misconception that in order to do that, it's fats that you should be concerned about. And that's actually not the case. I know this seems counterintuitive, but it's not the case. So your body produces cholesterol as a life-saving mechanism. Okay, so what cholesterol does is it's this sticky substance, okay, in your bloodstream, and it is meant to patch up any tears in your arteries. Okay, so Where do these tears come from? Well, here's the part. When you are eating a high glycemic diet, so this is eating foods that convert to glucose in your bloodstream quickly, okay? So eventually everything like that is your fuel is glucose. But if it does it too quickly and you have too much of it, what that does over time is it weakens the walls of your arteries, and can put like little tears in it. And so then your body produces more cholesterol and sends it in there to patch up those holes so you don't bleed out, keeping you alive, right? This is really important stuff. So cholesterol is not the villain here. It's not the bad guy. It is keeping you alive. Okay. If you want to lower that, if you want to prevent that cholesterol from building up on the walls of your arteries, then what you need to focus on is actually your glycemic level. So your blood sugar, your blood glucose, okay? And we'll dive into that. Food and your mood. So the food that you eat, if you caught my January series, you caught the explanation I gave between your gut and your mind and how food influences your mood, and how it impacts your ability to manage your stress and your sleep patterns. And then we're also going to talk about specific key nutrients. So we've got our omega-3s, fiber, monounsaturated fats, folate, and potassium are your top 5 nutrients that you need to focus on for healthy heart, right? So ways to reduce your blood sugar. So this is that glycemic level that I was talking about. So pair your higher glycemic foods with proteins, fats, and fiber. So those higher glycemic foods are typically your refined processed foods. They're going to convert very quickly because they're kind of already like, it's like eating pre-digested food, right? It's already broken down for you. It doesn't have any of the nutrients and the fibers and all that your body needs to work to break down. So it converts very quickly. And then also like straight up sugar, like obviously that's high glycemic. So candies and things like that, or anything that has a lot of added sugar to it. So your sodas and so pairing those foods, if you're going to consume them, having them alongside some proteins, some fats, and some fiber. Okay, so that's all going to slow down that digestive process so that you're not getting that big, huge burst of glucose in your blood all at once. Okay. Take that daily walk after you eat your biggest meal. I know you feel sluggish and like you don't want to move, but that's the time to get moving and to use up those glucose levels. So the glucose fuels your body, right? So, and if you're not moving, that glucose is just sitting in there. And then eventually the process is your body's going to produce insulin and then store that excess fuel as fat to use later when it needs it. Okay. So if you can get out and get moving and lower that blood sugar level through movement, that's great. Substitute your refined processed foods with whole foods. So your high glycemic foods, substitute those as much as you can with whole foods, make that transition. Avoid beverages that contain sugar. So this isn't just soda. This is your, Starbucks latte probably has a lot of sugar. Like just really pay attention to the beverages that you're consuming and try to focus instead on drinking mostly water. Okay. And try to avoid drinking your sugar. Eat regular meals to prevent those dips in blood sugar, because what happens when you dip down, you're going to have cravings and your body is going to send signals that it wants these sugary foods because it's looking to feel better. It's looking for that lift. So you set yourself up for failure. If you're, allowing yourself to dip down like that, then you're fighting your instinct in order to make the healthy choice. Does that make sense? You're going to want to gravitate towards the unhealthy choice. How are we doing for time? Whew. Okay. Do you have questions so far? No, a lot of people are saying that this is great information. Good. I'm glad you're finding it useful. Yes. Okay. So Yeah, proteins you're going to want like lean proteins. It doesn't have to be from animals. So lean proteins can be from legumes, which are beans and peanuts. It can be from other nuts and seeds. It doesn't always have to be from animals. So if you are vegetarian or vegan, then those are some other options. If you're vegetarian, you can do eggs, you can do cheeses. Yeah. Okay. And then of course, your lean proteins from animals would be like your chicken, your fish. Okay. Perfect. Glad that was helpful. All right. So foods to include in your diet. When I said to switch to whole foods and I talked about the nutrients, those 5 key nutrients. So we're going to dive into those real quick. So your omega-3s, some good sources of that are going to be your fatty fish. So like salmon is always a good example of that. Chia seeds. I don't know if any of you have tried chia seeds. Chia seeds are a great addition to like smoothies or yogurt, things like that. You want to have it with a liquid because it absorbs the liquid. If you just eat chia seeds without liquid, it'll absorb your digestive enzymes in your stomach and probably leave you with a stomach ache because you're not going to be able to properly digest your food. So always combine that with some sort of liquid that it can absorb. Okay. Flax seeds and nuts all are high in omega-3s, particularly walnuts. Whew, no, easy for you to say. All right. Fiber. So some sources of fiber are going to be your whole grain. So this is like your brown rice, not your white rice, but your brown rice is high in fiber. Your whole oats, not your quick oats. Okay. You want to make sure like steel oats or rolled oats, old fashioned rolled oats. Those are going to be more of your whole grains. Fruits. So eating the whole fruit, not a fruit juice. And if you can have the skin as well, so like apples, instead of peeling the apple to eat it, include the skin. That's going to give you even more fiber. Vegetables. Can never have too many vegetables. A wide variety of vegetables. Legumes, like I said, those are beans and peanuts and peas. And then your nuts and your seeds. Those all contain lots of fiber, okay? So really, basically, when you think about fiber, think about a plant. Like you want to eat plant-based foods. And monounsaturated fats. So these are the good fats that actually help your body function at peak and help reduce a lot of the unhealthy fats in your body. So monounsaturated fats are going to be from avocados, plant-based oils like olive oil, nuts and nut butters, and seeds, okay? So these are fats that are liquid at room temperature. They're not solid. Okay? Those solid fats are saturated fats. Folate. Folate is super important for heart health, okay? And that can be found in highest concentration in your dark leafy greens. So spinach, kale, collard greens, all of those are awesome sources of folate. Citrus fruit, so your oranges, your lemons, your grapefruit, those are all great sources. Legumes, again, if you're noticing a trend, legumes are a superfood in my eyes. And then your whole grains. Again, these are your non-processed whole grains. And then potassium. Potassium is one of those electrolytes that help balance really your body needs. Sodium, potassium, magnesium are some of the top electrolytes. Sodium we get more than enough of. So that's why it's important to counterbalance that with making sure that you're getting in plenty of potassium. So our sources of potassium are going to be potatoes actually have more potassium than bananas. So as much as people want to demonize potatoes, white potatoes, they are an awesome source of potassium. So potatoes, bananas, kiwis are not on this list, but kiwis also high in potassium, tomatoes, avocados, and prunes. Okay, so those are some good food sources for potassium if you have high blood pressure and you want to reduce that. If you're on a reduced sodium diet, increasing your potassium. All right, and then obviously, overall, you just want to eat a well-balanced diet and season with fresh herbs. This is really important. So, lay off the salt and pepper, get a little crazy and creative, and try using fresh herbs. Fresh herbs are chock full of minerals and nutrients, and they're very concentrated forms. So use them to your advantage. They're going to make your food taste better. You're going to enjoy it more, and you're getting more nutritional value. So it's a win-win. Okay. So I feel like I sped through that, but we're still over time, and I'm so sorry. I don't want to take up your entire lunch hour. But and if you need to go, you can go. This is my contact information. You can follow us on social media. And of course, you can always take classes on our university.nourishmysoul.org. I'd be happy to see you popping in, taking some cooking classes, whatever, some other webinars. If you have suggestions for more lunch and learns that you would like, let me know. And any of you who want to stick around and ask me questions, you can go ahead and do that. Okay. Yes. Let me stop the recording, and then I will answer all of your questions.